It's a Mad Master here. I'm doing another video. This one is about recent news that the stay-at-home order in California has been lifted. Uh, Now, anybody that's watched my channel in the last 3 or 4 months knows that I'm not a fan of Gavin Newsom as far as what I've heard about him and seeing his very hypocritical ways of doing things, especially. So I'm not a fan of the Democratic Party nowadays because they jumped the shark with a lot of this COVID stuff with their hypocrisy and stuff. That's what's bothering me. Of course, the neoliberal corporatists, the modern Democratic Party, even worse than anybody from the Squad or Bernie Sanders, of course, because I still like those people. I think they have more, as much as some of them sold out. I still think they have even an inch or not, little ounce of integrity. I wasn't doing the I'm Boogaloo. I'm a right winger now because I did a little thing. Fucking BuzzFeed will write about me now. Fuck you. Uh, no, but I just like making fun of that stupid shit. I haven't trusted the mainstream media since I was probably a little kid. So, anyways, I don't. And includes the blogosphere of Huntington Post and all that shit. It's all bullshit. You got to read so many different resources to get to the bottom of things sometimes. But so recently, Newsom lifted the stay-at-home order, and I'm just like, I was reading the article about it, and just got to thinking that this has been kind of a predictable pattern. So, and I'm not saying anything about the fact that I'm not a denier, okay? I'm not trying to soften the impact of anybody that's lost a loved one from this. I'm just talking about this pattern that I've observed in the months. A public health professional and a politician will work together and make these predictions. And they'll respond in kind because they're saying hospitals will be overwhelmed, blah, 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 blah. And overwhelmed meaning like, and I know in California there was some stuff, that was like last week or something. It was like for a few weeks it was looking bad. And then, cases going up, then they'll do some crazy draconian fucking stay-at-home order where, like, for example, here in Madison, you couldn't be with someone from your household. Outside of your household, or get fined $1,000. I don't know how many fines were implemented. I highly doubt that many, or if any. But and then the thing happens, and then they're like, "Oh well, now it's getting better," and it didn't happen. It never got as bad as we predicted. And it's just like, then it goes down, and then it comes back up, and they're saying the same thing, and then they do this draconian shit. They get sued a lot of the time in New York, or in California. I guess there's a bunch of lawsuits from restaurant organizations and stuff right now, and they say believe the science. And the outdoor dining thing has never been a big transmitter of the virus. I mean, it's proven that outdoor transmission is rare to nil. It's been proven time and time again. It was proven I knew this shit from the beginning. I was reading about this stuff in March. I was reading a lot about South Korea and China and stuff, and with regards to the virus, because I was like, holy shit, people are talking about. Roommate was talking about. I'm like, oh my god, we gotta read about this and check it out. And I figured out, now they have, I think John Campbell on YouTube said 0.48 IFR at this point, 0.48, 0.048 or whatever. Yep. So, or I think it's 0.48. So, like 0.5% mortality rate out of it's like 1 out of 200, and even that is probably highballing it a little bit because it's probably, you have to differentiate between ages and stuff. So it seems like just so it's, and people have been banned from platforms. Like Tom Woods had a video where he was using real life graphs. Of course, everybody who does any kind of commentary is essentially doing propaganda, trying to get people to their side. So they use usually a lot of times it's just twisting the facts a little bit this way or that way, not usually outright lying. Which in this case he was using facts, these graphs, from various states and countries to make his point, which was all true information. But yet he got banned from YouTube, or that video got banned from YouTube. I don't know if he's not banned from YouTube, but his video got banned. And we also have, but we have these people, that talk about, remember Kawasaki syndrome? Remember that from the summer? Children can die from COVID too, and because 4 of them died so far out of the million cases. And also, Kawasaki syndrome is seen in all these children. We got to do a bunch of headlines about that and scare people. Stay at home. And then you find out months later that was discredited. Same with the heart inflammation. I'm not talking about post-COVID. I'm talking about the football player controversy with heart inflammation. Then we find out, like, just basic doctors come out, and even someone I know who went to nursing school was like, yeah, that happens after every virus. You have a little bit of inflammation of organs and stuff. And they were confusing that, like, as the newspapers and the media were talking about how this is some kind of thing was unique to COVID, when you get the flu and you have a little heart inflammation. I'm not talking about the post-COVID thing. That's a separate issue. But guess what happened to these media people for their misinformation or disinformation? Nothing. They never got banned from platforms. They never got censored. They never got fucking called out for their bullshit, And, to be fair, like I did the video about the doctors that talked about hydroxychloroquine and that weird lady that believed in, like, exorcisms and shit. I'm like, and that's disinformation or whatever you want to call it, But people with legitimate things to say are getting banned, and then they're saying stuff that may as well be peddling some nonsense like that are not, and that's bullshit. But I think we see a sea change in what's happening right now. I think, and this kind of gives credence to some right-wing conspiracy theories. Unfortunately, I'm just going to have to say, and I'm going to talk about some really weird esoteric new age shit in this video too, and I'm sorry for all those offended by that. But I'm going to talk about it. So there, actually, I'm not sorry, but there was a conspiracy theory, and I don't believe this conspiracy theory still. I think it might be coincidence, but it is really bizarre. There's these people on right-wing channels and talk radio and these videos, like and comments especially. I see it a lot in comments. Once Biden's elected, I wouldn't be surprised we say the COVID go away. So I'm doing a caricature, and I'm sorry, but so lo and behold, we do see cases are going down the first week after Biden's in office. Well, I would say there's an epidemiological reason more than likely, but it is kind of curious, isn't it? So maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, as they say, it's like manifestation. But speaking of the weird woo new age shit that I sometimes go into on this channel, it also fits in with the archetypal explorers' predictions about what would happen after, and it was always a lag time between his graphs and what would happen. The graph would happen, Saturn Uranus, or not Saturn Uranus, that's this year. Saturn Pluto conjunction would happen, or Jupiter Pluto conjunction would happen, and then cases would go up, and it would be the exact same graph if you line them up, like how the stars are or whatever. Well, that there was supposed to be a decline in January, and it's late January, and it looked like December, January. But now it's happening. Well, shit. Well, I got in trouble. Maybe. I don't know. YouTube Studio. Let's see. I don't think you should be wearing a Queensryche shirt. Why? Oh. Oh, okay. Whatever. Okay. It was actually a subscriber, so not a big deal anyways. It's kind of funny. So anyways, got distracted by that. I was like, oh shit, am I in trouble? It's a YouTube Studio. I was like, what? So the whole point of this being is that it's like this pattern these public officials are following. It's like they make these somewhat outlandish predictions, not totally outlandish, but like exaggerated at least. Something they do these public policies, and then, oh, what the hell is going on with my computer now? Pardon me. I'm not going to edit this anyways. They do these ridiculous policies, and then they're called out for it, and then they're hypocrites, and then they do this thing, and they rescind it, and then they, cases surge again, they do it again, and then there's more lawsuits. It's like this fucking circle of bullshit, that keeps happening. So my prediction, though, is that because of these recent public pronouncements by some of these politicians, like Lightfoot and Cuomo, we're going to see less of that. We're going to see more of what we see in Wisconsin, which is actually, fortunately or unfortunately, a result of a divided cabinet and governorship, because we have a Republican-leaning legislature and a Democratic governor. We're going to see more of this, though. I predict, like, the next few months, as the cases go down, hopefully, we're going to see more of this. So they're going to have, places are going to remain open, because he did open outdoor restaurants, I guess, Newsom decided to do too. And they used some excuse, the ICUs weren't as overwhelmed and all this stuff. Or maybe you don't want to mention those lawsuits, You might not be able to buy your LA gel or whatever the fuck you use for your hair, you fuckface. I used to use that stuff. And as a kid, I used to use this hair gel. And it was really gross, because I used to use a lot. And I would slick my hair back, and then psoriasis. And it would be like, so gross. I don't want to talk about it. I was a little kid. But I used to use a lot. I used to spray myself with cologne too. And at that time I had an actual, like, real mullet. Like not just this mulletish kind of thing going on right now. And I brought her these nice Kmart shirts and expect myself to be able to get girls just because I did all that. I was such a fucking little chode. But I'm not going to bash myself too hard, because I'm doing a hell of a job in life now. But anyways, it's just this predictable pattern these people do, these public officials, and it's just like it's gotten insane. I think people are just realizing that this is not sustainable to do things like this. I mean, it's becoming politically untenable for even Democrat-led states. I don't think it's, it may have nothing to do with the number of deaths in California or cases or whatever. They're going to say that. Oh, this week it went down. It probably did, but it's like, it's not. I guarantee it has nothing to do with that. It's just becoming such a, because coincidentally, all these recall attempts on Newsom too happened at the same time, and all this stuff. So I don't know. I think we're going to see more of what's in Wisconsin. So places are open at a certain capacity. You have to go places with masks, of course. You're gonna, they'll limit gatherings to 25 or whatever, 50 outside or whatever the fuck. They'll do all these little things, but they're not gonna. I don't think they're. I could be wrong, but I don't think these lockdowns are gonna last in America anymore. And the cynical part of me that doesn't want to give credence to this, but I'm going to concede a little bit here, and this is going to sound really bad, but it is because Biden is president. No ifs and buts about it. Because they don't have this thing to hang over the head of Trump or have ammunition towards Republicans. They have the entire fucking government, the Democrats. I mean, Republicans have done cynical types of things like that too. So let's not gloss over anything Republicans have done in the past either, with regards to things. They'd accept things from, they had a Heritage Foundation written, essentially a Heritage Foundation written Mitt Romney enforced healthcare system with Obamacare, but because Obama was the person that pushed it, of course it's evil socialism, even though it was right-wingers that came up with the fucking system with no public option, by the way, which Biden said he would have, but now he's rescinding that too, or not rescinding, he's falling back on his not falling back, what's the word, backing down on his promise about public option, $2 an hour checks. Of course, because Biden is a fucking sleazeball politician like them all. And any naive fucking Democrats that fall asleep when there's a Democrat in office should wake the fuck up, you know. But of course they won't, because most people do not, you know. Trump derangement syndrome was a tool to implement further neoliberalism amongst our society. Even if Trump was no true populist reformer in the truest sense of the word, he was not. It was still, Trump derangement syndrome is a political weapon to further the goals of the corporatists and society. You know, their high society minded goals, high society goals of the rich and powerful. That's what it is. So, anyways, I'm totally off the topic. I don't have any predictions necessarily for what's going to happen, but I do see more of a resistance towards full lockdowns or stay-at-home orders in the future, because that's basically what's happening in California now. Like Lori Lightfoot said, you know, I think, and I don't like Lori Lightfoot, you know, I don't think I don't know that much about her record in Chicago. I just don't like what, you know, some of her statements have been the past year. But I will say one of the things that she did say, or kind of give, and she said it in very cloaked language and very kind of ridiculous, like ridiculous framing of it. But essentially what I interpret her saying is that stay-at-home orders don't work. We're going to have to make sacrifices because people aren't doing it anyways. So open the fucking restaurants. Open the damn schools. So the schools thing bothers me too, because like for months there were all these studies from Europe that said that schools were, you know, primary schools in particular were not a huge vehicle transmission or a huge place for transmission. But no, you were on Twitter, you were called like, oh my God, you want to kill people. Oh, that's science. That science is not settled. That science is not settled. It's not science. Just the science. Just the science. Just the science. Ah! You know, so, you know, it's like, that is the fucking science. It was scientific studies. Same thing with vitamin D. You know, it's like, it was called disinformation. I think there were some people, this is what happened. There was like two sides to this. So, not two sides to this, two ideas about this. So there was one idea that vitamin D was like, if you took enough vitamin D, you wouldn't get COVID. Maybe you took 20,000 IUs or whatever. That was kind of the ridiculous part of it, but there was a true part that has been reinforced by study after study the last 5 months or so, that it actually does help prevent the virus and helps bad versions of it from people, you know, people from getting the bad, making more likely you'll have a mild case if you do get it. So the confusion came in when people were calling the vitamin D mentioning disinformation. I don't know if John Campbell had a video removed, but people had videos removed. Wikipedia said it was disinformation, and it was just like, why don't you clarify what is the disinformation? But, you know, like, there were articles like, so it's all a bunch of, you know, I swear I saw an article saying it was just bullshit. It's like, no, that was earlier on, of course. Now they're saying, yeah, vitamin D. It's like, that's the problem with this fucking big tech internet, like, monopoly, oligopoly that's going on with our society right now, is that, you know, a piece of information gets released. It's true. It's science. But because certain powers that be haven't, like, I don't know, haven't vetted it in some kind of way, then it's shamed and ridiculed to a huge extent. So that's what, with regards to that, you know, that's what is pretty ominously true about some of this kind of censorship, you know. So I don't know. I just thought I'd do a video because I almost finished my previous video about this, but I didn't do because there's some issues with that. But this is the video that is resulting from that idea. So yeah, I would expect I would expect that Newsom is going to rescind the stay-at-home orders, and I think that's going to probably happen in a lot of other places. He's going to, I think, like with Cuomo's pronouncements and Newsom's rescinding the stay-at-home orders, I think we're going to be in for more moderation with regards to what's going on with all this. I really do. And the sad part about it is that it's one of those cases of I told you so. It's like, why didn't we go that route to begin with? I mean, Wisconsin pretty much went that route, and we didn't. And you know, it depends on the state, depends on the city. Like if you're actually getting overran in your ICU, then it's more justified. But if you're at risk for being overrun and you never do, you just look kind of stupid and foolish. And but of course, this is going to be debated for decades. You know, the response to this, because the impact and the fallout is monumental. It's huge. Like a surge of suicides. I think it was in Las Vegas or Nevada. They opened the schools because of the surge of suicides because they can't. There's no mental health infrastructure that is handling these cases of these kids. So they're just going to. They just decided to reopen the schools. There's all these cases about all this stuff with the lockdowns and stay-at-home orders, but it's going to be debated for decades because did we do too much? There'll be articles like 10 years from now. I guarantee it. Like the Atlantic, maybe we went too far. Some like liberal fucking snooty hoity-toity fucking NPR fucking frequent guests will be doing this high-profile article. Maybe we went too far against COVID. And then, you know, people that were shamed, essentially called murdering psychopathic scumbags of the earth would be like, fuck you. You were telling me you were doing the right thing by saving lives. Stay home, you know. But these articles, these debates are go on for years. You'll have like a fucking like, you know, it probably might even be on Time magazine in 10 years. Like, maybe we went too far. You know, I guarantee it. That is a prediction I will guarantee. We're going to fucking see that in the next 10 years. We're going to see people, and we're also going to see people investigating all the fucking malfeasance from the nefarious parties involved in this, conspiracy or not, you know, with all the stuff that happened, all these bad things. I think it's more a chaotic reality than an actual uniform thing across the board. There will be people that were found to have counted cases with people with, you know, something unrelated in one state, and then another state will be clean. You know, it'll be like that, I predict. Because it is a true statement to say that, you know, comorbidities or whatever. I mean, there's going to be a range. Like I think Wisconsin, particularly, I believe from what I've read, at least the number of cases and numbers of that, at least in Dane County here, I don't think that they're miscounting things necessarily. Because I look at the stats, I'm like, that seems kind of reasonable, you know, but some counties may not. Some states may not. Maybe Wisconsin overall is okay. And they seem more trustworthy for some reason. I don't know what it. Maybe it's because of the Republicans being in there. No, I don't think so. But you know, it's like it seems a little bit more convoluted overall. So we're going to see investigations done, and I think the China thing too will come out. You know, as far as like there will be more people questioning their whole narrative that they pushed on this down the road, and it'll be controversial. You know, be bickering back and forth. We're already seeing that, but it's going to be more in a public sphere. You know, not on Brett Weinstein's YouTube or whatever. But yeah, it's going to be it's going to be have its ramifications for years. But I just thought I'd do a video about Newsom rescinding his stay-at-home orders, and it became a 25-minute video. That's all.